acting Attorney General for a period of time in January 2017 and was the number 2 at the Department of Justice in early January 2017. Ms. Yates appeared before the committee on May 18, 2017. That was before the Mueller investigation really got started. It was before the Horowitz report about the investigation was issued, and I believe much has been learned since May of 2017, and we would like to discuss certain topics with Ms. Yates. My view of Ms. Yates is that she exercised good caution and legal judgment in January of 2017. And if people had followed her advice, things might be different today. So I just want to let you know, Ms. Yates, from my point of view, you analyzed the situation fairly correctly, and we will get into that later on. So what's the purpose of this hearing? It's to ask questions of Ms. Yates, knowing then what she knows now, which she had signed a Carter Page warrant application, because in May of 2017, we didn't know that the Russian subsource presented evidence to the FBI in the form of a dossier that was full of hearsay and bar talk that was eventually repudiated by the Russian subsource. We did not know in May of 2017, as clearly as we do now, that without the dossier, there had been no warrant issued against Carter Page. Ms. Yates signed the original warrant application in October and a renewal in January. And after the Horowitz report, we now find there were 17 major violations of procedures and protocols regarding the warrant. And we'll give Ms. Yates a chance to talk about what she knew and when she knew it. Most importantly to me is this January the 5th meeting between Ms. Yates and the President in the Oval Office, 2017. We didn't talk about that in May of 2017. That wasn't part of our discussion. Since May of 2017, we've come to learn now that there was a meeting in the Oval Office with Director Comey, Ms. Yates, the President, the Vice President, Clapper, and Brennan. We now know at the end of that meeting, which was called to brief the President about Russian interference in the 2016 election, and I want everyone to know, Ms. Yates included, that the Russians did interfere in our election. It was the Russians who hacked into the DNC and stole the Clinton emails, and the Russians were up to no good. That is not the bone of contention with me. What happened during Crossfire Hurricane is very much a concern of mine. So on January the 4th, 2017, we now know that the FBI agents who were investigating General Flynn as part of a counterintelligence investigation had recommended that General Flynn be dropped from the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. The Crossfire Hurricane team determined that Crossfire Razor, Flynn investigation, was no longer a viable candidate as part of the larger Crossfire Hurricane umbrella case. A review of logical databases did not yield any information on which to predicate further investigative efforts. Now, this is on January the 4th, 2017, where the FBI was making a recommendation through a memo to drop General Flynn from the counterintelligence investigation called Crossfire Hurricane. We now know that Peter Strzok told Mr. Barnett, wait a minute, the 7th floor at the FBI wants to keep this thing going. What happened next? A January 5th meeting in the Oval Office. We've never had a chance to talk to Ms. Yates about that meeting. What do we know? We know that after the general briefing, there was a pull-aside that President Obama asked Comey and Yates to stay behind. And President Obama mentioned the fact that he was aware of an intercept between General Flynn and the Russian ambassador, Mr. Kislyak. Ms. Yates was not aware of that intercept, and she said, in her 302, she was so surprised by the information she was learning that she was having a hard time processing it and listening to the conversation at the same time. The President of the United States knew about the surveillance of General Flynn talking to the Russian ambassador, but the number 2 at the Justice Department did not know. The question is, who told the President? And did they have the authority to tell the President? Did they go around Ms. Yates in the Department of Justice? If so, why? The bottom line about the January 5th meeting is to find out how the number 2 at the Department of Justice was unaware of this event. And to the public, why does this matter to you? General Flynn was the incoming National Security Advisor. The election was over. Trump had won. He had picked his team. General Flynn was going to be the National Security Advisor replacing Susan Rice. Well, what have we learned? That there were intercepts between General Flynn and Mr. Kislyak, the Russian ambassador, in December. Flynn was talking to Kislyak about Russian sanctions imposed by the Obama administration. Those conversations have been released to the public, and he was talking to the Russians about, give us a chance to come in, don't escalate now, let's see if we can work through this. Here's what's so stunning to me. There were people at the FBI considering that a violation of the Logan Act. What is the Logan Act? It is a law that was written in 1799 that prohibits American citizens, without permission from the government, talking to foreign individuals about differences in policy. So I want everybody in America to understand the way the system works. The transition team of the incoming administration should be talking to foreign leaders and representatives about how the transition will work and about policy differences. I'm going to ask every senator to think, have you called a foreign leader in your time in the Senate to express differences of concern about a particular administration policy? Have you violated the Logan Act? I consistently talk to foreign leaders about my differences with Republican and Democratic administrations. Have I violated the Logan Act? I called up the Israelis and urged them to push back against the Iran nuclear agreement because people in America will listen to you. I thought it was a bad deal. Did I violate the Logan Act? I called the Kurds and our allies in Syria, the SDF, and I asked them to rally their allies in Washington to push back against President Trump's decision to withdraw all of our forces from Syria. Did I violate the Logan Act? No. No one in history of the Department of Justice has ever been prosecuted for violating the Logan Act. Why are we having these hearings? To make sure that laws like this cannot be used as political tools to get people you don't like. And we need to clear up once and for all how the Logan Act works in America. I dare say that every incoming administration routinely has discussions with foreign leaders about policy differences and how things will be different. Ms. Yates, when she understood what was going on, was very concerned that a prosecution under the Logan Act was being contemplated. The question is, who brought up the Logan Act in the January 5th meeting? Whose great idea was this? Ms. Yates' 302 interview, where she talked about the January 5th meeting with the FBI, doesn't mention the vice president being in the meeting. But what do we now know? We know she was shocked and was having a hard time following the conversation because she was stunned that the president knew about the intercept with Flynn and Kislyak, and she did not. What have we learned? We've got an email from Susan Rice to herself on Inauguration Day, and it starts with, on January the 5th, the meeting in question, following a briefing by the IC leadership on Russian hacking during the 2016 presidential election, President Obama had a brief follow-on conversation with FBI Director Jim Comey, Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates in the Oval Office. Vice President Biden and I were also present. This is evidence coming from Susan Rice that in the January 5th meeting, the set-aside, the Vice President was there. What else have we found since we last talked to Ms. Yates? We found agents' notes from Mr. Strzok that Comey, the director of the FBI, reported to Agent Strzok, who was intricately involved in Crossfire Hurricane, and gave him a readout on the meeting. According to Agent Strzok's notes, handwritten notes, it says, VP Logan Act, President, these are unusual times, VP. I've been unintelligible on the Intel Committee for 10 years and I've never. President, make sure you look at things and have the right people on it. President, is there anything I shouldn't be telling transition team? This is the director. Kislyak calls appear legit. Strzok is telling us that Comey told him that not only the vice president was in the January 5th set-aside meeting, it was the vice president who brought up the Logan Act. We need to find out what happened and who was there, and this is the first step in the journey. And again, why does it matter? It matters a lot to me. We have oversight of the Department of Justice here. How could it be that the number 2 in the Department of Justice not know about an investigation of the incoming National Security Advisor and the President did? Who at the FBI, the Department of Justice, went around Ms. Yates to tell the President about the investigation? Whose idea was it to suggest that the interaction between Flynn and Kislyak was a violation of the Logan Act? If that's going to be the standard for this country, you're destroying the ability to do a transition. And to every senator in this room, we have all violated the Logan Act under that theory. Every one of us has reached out to some foreign government to show differences with the current administration. The Logan Act has never been used for a reason. I think it was used here as a sham reason to find out more about General Flynn, who the Obama administration did not like. So the bottom line is, when this is over, we need to fix it. We need to make sure going forward in the next transition, no matter who wins, that you can talk with foreign leaders without being afraid of going to jail. General Flynn wasn't talking to the Russians about, hey, pay my house off, give me money. He was talking to the Russians about, don't escalate the sanctions fight, give us a chance to come in and we'll start over. My God, if that's a violation of the law, God help us all. And to her credit, Sally Yates did not want to go down that road. General Flynn was interviewed on January the 24th by the FBI without her permission, against her counsel. She recommended that the Department of Justice notify the current administration about the concerns they have with General Flynn. that the right thing to do would be to call McGahn and the Trump administration and tell them about the concerns they had about General Flynn. The FBI went down a different path. The FBI calls Flynn and suggests to him that you don't need a lawyer, that we just want to talk to you, we want to get it over quickly. Do you mind meeting with us? And when Flynn said, I'd like my lawyer, says, no, if you do that, we have to go way up to the chain. That will slow things down. And what did Flynn tell McCabe? Well, you've got the transcript. You know what I said. If there was a violation of the Logan Act, you had the transcript. Why did you need to talk to him? They were going to manufacture a crime, not try to figure out what he did. That's my view. We'll see if over time that matters. I'll end on this. If it followed Mrs. Yates' advice and gone to the White House to tell them about their concerns the way you should have done it, because she said what happened with the FBI was problematic and inconsistent with what should have happened. Been a lot of heartache saved in this country. So we're going to keep pressing on to find out what happened in that January 5th meeting. And we're going to try to fix this so it never, ever happens again. Folks, I'll end with this. The Obama administration, Department of Justice, had one view of the Logan Act. The FBI had another view of the Logan Act. But the thought that the Logan Act could be used against the incoming national security advisor who was talking to the Russians about different policy, that could be used as a basis for an interview, that could be a crime, should shock us all. Because if it can happen to General Flynn, it can happen to everybody on this committee, because we do this all the time.